Hi there, Internet Associate. It's Anthony, and I can't believe it. I'm about to watch the season 2 finale of Dexter. So, this one is called The British Invasion, which makes me think of Lila off the bat, obviously. And, last episode ended with Lila looking like she was about to find Dokes, or I think she might have. I don't know if they showed her looking at him or not, but I know they were talking to each other, you know, in the cabin. Dokes was like, I'm in here, I'm in here. She's like, somebody there? So I can't wait to see what she's going to think about all that. And, like, if that's going to scare her away from Dexter, seeing that he had this guy trapped down in a cage and a location on his GPS. Like, I don't know, man. It's it's just so much going on right now, and I don't even know where to. I don't even want to try to predict anything. I just want to see where they're about to take us, take it all in, because I know this is about to be crazy after how crazy this season has been. So I'm ready to just go ahead and get into it. Dexter, season 2, episode 12, The British Invasion. Okay, so first things first, rest in peace, Sergeant Dokes. I know he was, always on Dexter the whole series so far, and he's always been out to get him. But I liked Dokes, man. I was hoping that somehow he and Dexter could both coexist and could both continue to move on after this. I couldn't see any way that could possibly happen, and it didn't happen, but I was really hoping it would. So I'm sad to see Dokes go. So rest in peace to him. But, even though that was a very disappointing and hurtful death, they made up for it at the end with Lila being killed. That was the most satisfying thing I've seen. I swear. Like, I was so happy to see her die. But yeah, man, I think first of all, this it's just amazing how this show keeps on managing to find new places to take Dexter, new places to take these characters that feel like new places, not just in a sense of, like, the plot going crazy places, but new places of emotion and new places of, depth in the character and for what they're learning and what they're going through and how they're developing as people and whatnot. It seems like in the first season they did so much in that regard that you're like, okay, now where can they take it from there? Like, yeah, they can think of some other crazy plots like they did here with Dexter almost being caught as the Bay Harbor Butcher, but it doesn't really mean anything if they're not putting a lot of substance behind that. What is Dexter learning from this? What aspects of himself is he now discovering from going through this kind of, this pursuit that he has on him with these people looking for the Bay Harbor Butcher? That's where, like, the meat of this show comes in, because otherwise the plot would just be just a plot if that wasn't there. And it's amazing how they keep on managing to find things to put in here, like Dexter's realization that he killed his father, or that he killed his father, and that his father was so disappointed in him in a way when he saw what Dexter had been doing. And then Dexter's realization that just like his father had created a monster in him, or might have felt like he created a monster, Dexter felt like he had created a monster in Lila. I don't know. It's just a lot of different things that they managed to, bring forth, that these characters kind of, figure out, mainly Dexter, that he learns about himself through this introspection that just adds so much to everything that's going on. Like, what I really liked about this episode was the fact that Dokes got killed at the very beginning. Like, obviously I don't like the fact that Dokes got killed, but I mean, and I thought that was bad. I'm not saying that was a bad choice. I think that was cool that they did that. I mean, like, kudos to them for, not being scared to kill a character off. But I like the fact that at the very beginning of the episode, Dokes gets killed. It looks like it's him. They're basically done thinking about the Bay Harbor Butcher. They think Dokes is the Bay Harbor Butcher. They're not worried about, they're not looking for Dexter maybe being him anymore. I mean, like, that's not really a concern on our minds anymore as to whether Dexter might be caught as the Bay Harbor Butcher. And I think that's great. That allowed us to explore Dexter a little bit deeper this episode, rather than, just having a lot of, high speed, high anxiety inducing, heart thumping sequences of them almost catching Dexter and him getting away and da 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 da, like maybe another show might have done for their season finale after a season like this. I like the fact that they kind of just nipped that in the bud right at the beginning of the episode. It felt like a clean ending for that, almost too clean, but it worked because it was like, it showed that wasn't really what the main focus here was. Whether or not Dexter was going to get caught as the Bay Harbor Butcher was never the real point, because obviously he wasn't really going to get caught. We're just in season 2. So I like that they nipped that in the bud and just they let this episode be more about this new version of Dexter that he's becoming. With Dokes out of the way and Lila gone too now, he's kind of wiping the slate clean in some ways and starting anew with sort of this new self-acceptance that he has. That was really shown, with him pulling out his new little whatever container thing that is that he puts all his samples in. One thing that I thought was really cool about this episode was how it kind of took a question that we as an audience have been asking for most of the season, which is Dexter, like, is he good or bad? Is he good or evil? Like, he's doing all this stuff. Yeah, he has this, moral thing behind it, but at the same time, it's starting to really impact other people's lives. Like, how it is with Dokes. And, you can't help but wonder what's going to happen to Rita from dealing with Dexter. And to Deb, already we've seen, I guess that you can't directly say that was Dexter's fault because Rudy might have came either way, but still, something, because he could still cause something to happen to Deb. It's like he's doing this stuff that can negatively impact the people around him that one could consider innocent. So that's when it becomes even more morally gray. You know what I mean? It was already morally gray because you're like, yeah, he's killing people, but he's killing killers. So it was a little bit easier to justify it, but it's getting more and more morally gray. And so this whole time you're thinking, I want to root for Dexter, but at the same time you're like, dang, this man's kind of messed up. And they really brought that to a head in that one episode where he realized that his father even probably saw him as a monster, and that's why he killed himself, at least in Dexter's mind. And because we saw Doke's reaction, and we saw how kind of crazy what Dexter is or what he does to other people, how that seems to just a regular person. I mean, so we've seen all of that, and we're like, dang, is he good or evil for all this? Like, what is he? Like, should I be rooting for this guy? And this episode, Dexter's just kind of like, does that matter? At the end of the day, I am what I am. I murder people. That's just what it is. At this point, what is the point in questioning how good or bad that is? At this point, I'm just going to do everything that I can do to, stay out of trouble myself and to keep the people around me safe. So that's kind of just Dexter saying, I'm done wondering about is this the right or wrong thing to do? It is what it is. This is what I do. This is what I want to do. This is what I'm going to do when I need to fix a problem like Lila. And she gave me a good reason to do it because she killed somebody. I'm going to go do it. I'm a murderer. So I felt like that was a really nice way to end this season and to, kind of put a nice little bow on this overarching issue and, moral quandary, if you will, that we've been having throughout the season. It is a little hard not to look at Dexter differently now, too, given everything that's just happened. I mean, I think one thing that they maybe kind of did as a bit of a saving grace for Dexter's character, just to not make us as an audience want to just completely turn on him, was that they didn't have him make that choice of what to do with Dokes. That ended up kind of being made for him. Like, because, the whole time he was talking about he was going to frame Dokes or he was going to kill Dokes, I was thinking, dang, either way, that's going to look really bad on Dexter, I mean, from our eyes, we're like, dang, you really just did that to more or less innocent guy in relation to the people that you usually turn to your victims. So I think they probably intentionally decided to have that choice kind of taken from Dexter and just have Lila do that. And so then we can just blame it all on Lila, be like, oh my gosh, here goes Lila again. And, even Dexter himself can kind of have that separation of the guilt from what he might have done to Dokes or whatnot. So that wrapped up pretty neatly, and I think that was a good way to take it, because even still, now I'm like, dang, Dexter's just letting all these people, sully Dokes' reputation, and nobody was at his funeral. Everybody thinks Dokes is the Bay Harbor Butcher. I'm like, dang, like Dexter's just letting all that happen. I mean, like, why would he stop it? Obviously, I mean, only him and Dokes were friends, and he has to, self-preservation. You can't be doing stuff to draw them away from Dokes, but still, I'm like, man. So that already has me kind of like, dang, Dexter, really? But at the same time, I understand I'm still with Dexter, I guess. So, I mean, not I guess, like, definitely. So, yeah, I guess I'm just glad that we didn't actually have to see which choice he would have made between framing Dokes, killing him, or whatever. So at least there's that little bit of separation there, and we can just, Lila. This is all Lila's fault. But yeah, also, Speaking of Dokes, man, LaGuerta, that breaks my heart. Like, I know she must just be so crushed by this. And I'm wondering now if LaGuerta is going to. In fact, I highly expect this to happen. That LaGuerta isn't going to let this go. She's not just going to be like, oh, dang, well, I guess he really was a killer. Like, I don't think she's going to believe that. And I think she's going to bring this back up, and she's going to probably do a dose and go outside of the system, outside of the law, not, not try to get permission or anything sanctioned. She's going to try to figure this out herself, which might not end up being good for LaGuerta, because then he might have to kill her. So, that'll be interesting to see. I just have a feeling that's what's going to happen next. Hopefully she doesn't get too close to Dexter, because if LaGuerta dies too, I mean, I'm already kind of familiar, with what happened in the first book, but like, I don't know, man. I'm going to be like, really? Like, seriously? Like, dang, like, why all these people got to die? Goodness, man. And I mean, I'm sure there's going to be some more deaths too on this show. Like, they're showing us that nobody's really safe. I'm not really sure where we stand with Deb and Lundy. Like, I'm not sure how final that was meant to seem. Since this is the end of the season, I'm thinking maybe that was it for Lundy. He flew away and Deb was about to fly too, but then she had to make the choice between him and then saving the kids. Which, I mean, of course she saved the kids because they were about to die in a fire. But still, I mean, like, if she could have just went, it's not like she can't just go fly again, like, later, or can't still see him. So I wasn't sure how final that was meant to be, like, whether that was meant to signify this is Deb choosing her work and Dexter and all that over Lundy, or whether it was just like a thing that was happening in the moment. So I guess we'll see that soon. I feel like it was the first one though. Like, I feel like that's like the end of Lundy. He's flown away. Deb is staying here. I'm pretty sure that's what's going to be the case. I mean, like, because that would also be messy, them trying to have Deb in a long distance relationship on this show. Like, it's like, for what? You know what I mean? Speaking of Lundy, though, I wonder if we'll ever see him again, because he didn't seem to really, he never said he thought Dokes was the person. He always said it like, the evidence is compelling. The evidence all points to Dokes. Like, but he never said, I think that Dokes is the killer. Maybe that's just how Lundy is. Maybe he never personally says his thoughts. Or maybe that was really intentional. He didn't really think it was Dokes, but he was like, I have no other way of proving it's not. So I guess we're just going with that. This one was pretty similar to the first season in that it was a pretty self-contained story, and it all wrapped up pretty nicely. At the end, it's not like there's really anything from here. Like I said, I mean, obviously, like with LaGuerta. But for the most part, there's not much that we can expect to happen next. Like, if they wanted to, they could have just ended the series here, and it wouldn't seem like there was any, too many loose threads that were like, oh my gosh, we never found out what happened here. Like, it seems like that seems to be something so far that they're doing intentionally each season. Like, they don't end on like a cliffhanger like some shows do at the end of the season to make everything kind of, start a new thing that's going to kind of carry over into the next season. They kind of just end it right there, nice and neatly. So even if the show did end right here, it's like, I mean, it wasn't anything like that we didn't know where it was headed, if that makes sense. So I wonder where season 3 is going to take us. No matter where, I'm sure it's going to be great. I think the show is 2 for 2 so far. Both of these seasons have been great. I think I would put season 2 over season 1, actually. I mean, it's hard really to compare them, because it feels like it all is great. It all goes together so well. But I feel like just overall, yeah, I probably would put season 2 over season 1. I think like it felt like season 2 just took what season 1 had already done and just like improved on that. Just made it even a little bit better. Like, I feel like so far they have not had a miss. So I'm really enjoying this, and I'm hoping that this trend continues and that season 3 is even better than the first 2. Well, I guess that'll do it for my thoughts on this episode. Comment down below. Let me know what you thought about it. Like the video if you liked it. Subscribe if you want to see more. And if you're interested, head to Patreon for the full uncut reactions. That'll be it. I'll see you all in season 3.